Uh-oh, I don't got my vest on today. I'm wearing a white tie. That can only mean one thing. Did I ever tell you about the time I met becoming the archetype? Today, on Tofer's Take. So this theme has kind of been coming up this past week or so. I mean, on our radio show in the mornings they were talking about people who have met celebrities and, maybe done some inappropriate stuff with celebrities, or I was thinking about that and almost everybody has one of those stories where, like I said, the story of how I met becoming the archetype, which is kind of funny, but, it seems like everybody has one of those. And so how did I meet becoming the archetype? Well, ironically, they were playing at Hot Topic, which is a store here in America. It's kind of the goth, hard rock, icon store. So I'm like, I'll go see them. And they played like 3 songs, maybe 2, before security came and said, "Hey, you guys need to turn it down. You're being too loud and we're getting complaints." I think they might have played 1 song after that, but, it was nowhere near the full set they had planned, to do. And it was kind of a funny, situation because I got to talk to the guys, and I ironically, was able to bring them pizza, for lunch. But I really don't want to talk about that story, as my entire podcast. In fact, I want to talk about another band really quick. Dude, did I ever tell you about the time I met War of Ages? So that was a picture of my rabbit Fred with the guys from one of the guys from War of Ages, and I met them over in Kansas City. And I remember as I was going in to the show, I had my big old wallet chain on, and security dude is like, "Dude, you can't bring that in there." And that guy's like, "Hey man, let me see your chain." So I take it off and give it to him. He's like, "Catch me after the show. I'll give it back to you." And that was one of the most awesome, sweet, things he could have done. But we all have those stories, don't we? Of how we met somebody famous, I'm getting ready to go to Audio Feed, and, I'm actually going to be doing some interviews with some bands for this podcast and some other people, but one of my friends was like, "Well, have you interviewed any bands before?" And I thought about it. I'm like, last year I talked to Jason Wisdom, formerly of Becoming the Archetype, about his website that he had for a while, Because It's True. I also talked to my friend Andreas Larson, who's in a band, but I didn't talk to him about the band. I talked to him about some other stuff, and I'm like, no, I've never interviewed a band before, technically. And that's kind of a funny thing in my mind, but again, all this, has got me thinking a little. I'm talking to a couple other people, and we get excited about those stories, don't we? "Oh, did I tell you I met so-and-so from such and such band?" Or, "I saw so-and-so from such and such show, and they're awesome." We connect with those stories. We get excited, Even I even met a couple of pro wrestlers in my day. Well, you see, that's not what I want to talk about, really. When was the last time you got that excited? And it was like, "Dude, let me tell you about the time I met Jesus." Or, "Dude, let me tell you about the time Jesus showed up in my life, and did this." Do we get that excited when Jesus shows up? You see, like I said, I was talking about this week, and one of my friends has been to a couple of concerts, but has never met any celebrities. And if you know me, you know this is my heart. Because I wonder, how many of us show up to church each and every week, regularly, and don't meet Christ there? You know, how many of us go to church, attend church, go to fellowship, and yet we miss meeting Christ in our daily lives. We miss meeting Christ at church. We miss meeting Christ, when we're out with our friends. We miss meeting Christ, or at least we don't talk about it. Anyway, like I said, just a couple of thoughts for you guys today. Peace, goodbye, and God bless.